press the meeting on. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good after evening. Good pre-evening.
After evening.
So, hello, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment Committee. Today's Tuesday, February 18th, and we'll go through roll call. It's great to be back with everyone, so thank you to our vice chair and to the rest of the members who have wonderfully stepped up and did all the wonderful things that they do. So, so I'm present. Bradford, he's absent, dealing with some medical matters. Councilmember Cap.
You're outside the door.
He'll be in timely, I'm sure. Councilmember Eastlick.
2 minutes late.
Present. Ewing.
Totally.
Hancock. Lee. Stiles.
Hello.
Taylor. Vo.
Taylor's here.
Taylor?
He's in the kitchen.
He's in. Okay, so we'll.
Health and safety.
He's not.
He's not here. Yeah,
He's not in the room, but he's in the building. Councilmember Welsh.
Here.
Wonderful. We have a quorum. According to public comment, or we can have a public comment period, but we currently don't have anyone signed up. Is there anyone present here that didn't have a chance to sign up? Wonderful. With that, we're going to move through the agenda. I'm going to move through the resolutions, and we will start with item on the agenda, item number 1, RS 2025-1015, a resolution approving a contract between Metropolitan Government and My Goat, Inc. to provide equipment services and software for robotic mowers for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Is there a motion?
Move. Welcome back. Welcome back, Jenny.
So I have a motion.
Second.
And the second. With that, is there, our council member, we're on resolution number 1 regarding the My Goat Inc. contract. There has been a motion and a second. We do have representatives from My Goat Inc. and the Parks Department present here. They did do a demonstration outside on the lawn. The lawn was already cut short, but because of the weather, but they did a demonstration out there. Sorry, my poor attempt at humor. But we do have members from the company here present and the Parks Department. Are there any questions or any conversation on this before we move forward? Yes, Councilmember Ewing.
Okay, I know that we went over this last meeting, but Chair Gadd wasn't here actually.
I wasn't.
And so I sort of wanted to backtrack a little bit and ask you what the impetus was for going to robotic mowers. Is this a new thing, or is this a continuation of an existing method of lawn mowing?
The biggest impetus behind it is looking at ways to, with the green sustainability agenda for the city,
Okay.
to be able to push that forward in a way that takes. We've struggled with electric zero turns and stuff to find the things that will last all day, a 7.5 hour day.
Yep.
We just can't get there yet. Technology, energy density in batteries is just not there yet. Maybe when solid state batteries come out, maybe we'll get there. So this was a way for that, and for how do we take what manpower, what labor hours we have now, and take those and do more. Right. So it was a double thing that was almost secondary to the sustainability and the green issue, and replacing diesel and gasoline powered fossil fuels with powered directly from the sun electricity, and mow that. Try to get as green as we could. So that was really the impetus more than anything else. And the second was manpower.
Okay. And we'll, for the record, for folks listening, will you identify yourself, name and department? Sorry.
Metro Parks, Assistant Director of Solid Maintenance.
Wonderful, thank you.
So one more question?
Yes.
Okay. So on the cost side, we have the contract, which is $2 million.
Right.
And on the savings side, we have fuel saved, labor saved and being able to be diverted to other uses within parks.
And we won't even get to the cost unless we get the money to fund it, athletic fields department wide,
Right.
right? Right now, we think we can fund Dell to put them at every field at Dell. We'll see if this gets passed and we take another look at what we can fund there. But right now, there's 2 pads of the 4 that are funded there. So that's pretty much it until we get an increase in funding that allows us to put them at all the athletic fields like Ted Rose Multipurpose Field, Ezel, places like that are behind the gate. We haven't ventured, don't want to really venture to not behind the gate. Because I think it's just better off that we keep it there for now, see how that goes. And we'll see how it goes at Dell. We're still, I want to get turf quality, as I said before. I'm still not quite satisfied on turf quality, but if I can get there, and the mowers can get there, then I'll be pretty happy with it.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Ewing, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm done.
Any other questions from any other council members? Or parts of conversation or anything? Okay. All right, with that, we will move to a vote. All in favor, please indicate by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Any abstentions? Wonderful. Okay, item number 2. Sorry, I had to do a quick count. And they're not that quick. So item number 2 on the agenda is 2025-1041, a resolution approving MOU between Metro government by and through the Metro Nashville Arts Commission, hands-on, and United Way of Greater Nashville for an AmeriCorps program participant to perform volunteer services on Metro Nashville Arts Commission's community engagement programs and activities. Is there a motion?
I'd like to move it. Second, sir.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions? We do have the interim director, Batchelder, is out in another committee. She can be grabbed if somebody wants to go get her, because this may be a question that she will need to answer.
She just,
Yeah.
I saw her walk across
Yeah,
the river.
she had indicated, she told me that she would.
Does she need to answer it? Does she need to answer it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if everyone's comfortable with this, we'll move this down one item. Is everybody in favor for rolling this?
Yes,
Please
that's
indicate.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll move it down one, and we may be able to get her in here. If not, we'll move it down again. So we're gonna come back to item number 2 and move on to number 3. RS 2025-1046, a resolution approving an application for a land and water conservation fund grant from the Department of Environment Conservation to the Metro government, acting by and through the Metro Board of Parks and Rec to provide funding for the development of the farm area of Mill Ridge Park and accepting a grant from Josie Davis Foundation and the Friends of Mill Ridge Park to the Metro government, acting by and through the Parks Department to match funds for the project. Is there a motion?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, wonderful. With that, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed or not voting? That resolution passes. We will continue to move item number 2 down until we have a representative from the Parks Department, or Arts Commission present. So with that, let's move on to item number 4 with bills on second reading. BL 2025-688, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2.147 of the Metro Code of Laws regarding the Nashville Music Entertainment Film Commission. Is there a motion?
Move. Second.
There's a motion and a second. With that, do we want to,
Move the substitute in advance and then talk about her first.
if someone makes a motion?
I would like to move that I'd like to move my substitute, but I want to hear hers first. I want to make sure that
Okay,
we don't have a cluster.
okay, wonderful. So what we'll do, thank you for joining us, Director Batchelder. We're going to come back to that resolution. So if you don't mind waiting or be close by so we can get you before we end. So with this, we'd like to ask for, open it up for conversation and would like to recognize Council Member Sepulveda or someone from the administration to talk through BL 2025-688 to explain this for us. I wasn't present at the last council meeting, although I did go back and listen to some of the conversation. So if someone's here wants to be recognized. Wonderful.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. I can go first, and then I could pass it over to the administration. And thank you, Councilmember Stiles. So before you is some of the work that we have been working on with the working committee. You all should have received an email from Mr. Rosenberg detailing some of the work that the working group has been doing. And then one today, I believe, from Metro Legal with the memo, a comparison, and just some FAQ questions that came up at the last meeting. So hope that was helpful for you all. But just a quick rundown of what this legislation does. It renames the Entertainment Commission to the Nashville Entertainment Commission, which is what you will see on both of the legislation and the substitute. It was one of the recommendations made from the Board and Commission itself. It also reduces the number of commissioners from 15 to 11 voting members with 4 ex officio members. This will happen over time, so no one will be losing their seats. It will happen gradually. When we were contemplating what size is more ideal for board and commissions, this was one of those size recommendations that we came up with. And just so you all know, we did survey all commissioners, and then the second survey that went out were for people who actually work with the board and commissions themselves. And so we heard from both sides wanting to get a good perspective as to what is needed on the board. And then one of the other major components is the way the executive director is hired. So this would change it from the commission itself hiring the executive director to the mayor hiring the executive director. This is similar to the setup that we just approved with the newly created Contract and Compliance Board, where the commission would still have a say in that they would have someone who would be able to basically, potentially sit in on the interview process. For the Contract and Compliance Board, our chair is able to sit in when the interviews are occurring, but they would still be hired by the mayor or a designee, and this is consistent practice throughout Metro. It's no secret that we have had some issues when boards and commissions have been in charge of their hiring process. Questions have, arise of what is the training that some of the commissioners have as far as managing staff? Are they prepared, equipped? There has been some lack of accountability with previous staff, and it's nothing new. We've had this going on for several years now, and so we believe that this is the best process to, try and get this right. And so this is the main recommendations that we have for the Entertainment Commission. And if it's okay with you, Chair, I'd also ask if we could recognize the administration.
Before we do that, do you have any questions, Chairwoman Stiles, or do you want to wait?
Oh, no, I'll
Okay.
wait till Rosenberg's been.
Thank you, and we'll pass it over to you, Mr. Rosenberg. And for folks listening, he's with the mayor's office. So.
Thank you, Council Member. If y'all didn't get a chance to see the email, that's the memo from legal and the other documentation. Also here is Jamari Brown. Mr. Brown works very closely with the commission. He's part of every conversation there and is aware of the conversations that have gone on back to far in the past regarding this conflict. that makes the existing language and the substitute untenable. There are conversations to be had around board size and subcommittees and that kind of thing, but ultimately it comes down to the fact that you simply cannot have two different offices supervising, hire somebody into another office. That doesn't happen anywhere in Metro. The code doesn't say who hires the staff. It seems to intimate that both the commission and the mayor would supervise the staff. Are
you talking about your bill or the substitute?
I'm talking about both the existing code today that Councilmember Sepulveda's bill solves and the substitute, which restores that problematic language.
And I would also love to understand how this was communicated with the existing commission, because I've gotten communication that while there was initial conversations, coming back with what the solution, it doesn't sound like folks have been back to present in front of the commission what the solution that's being presented here.
Yeah, no,
and I think that's a major concern I have, but others may have questions too.
Yeah. So as Dave mentioned earlier, I've been working with the commission. I joined as kind of staff support with the commission back in January of 24, and I've been working with them since then. And one of the first things both I and Derek, who's their legal representation, noticed was the conflict with the hiring, along with several other pieces within the legislation. And we started those conversations pretty early on, saying we need to look at some of the issues in the legislation as they were working on kind of their formulation of the commission. And so that conversation proceeded through the entire year with the understanding that there would be legislation filed. The commission came together, presented their recommendations, which was shared with the working group, and then the working group took that information and made the best decision based on the legislation that is currently in front of us.
So was this legislation presented to
The final legislation was not presented prior to filing, but it was presented once the filing became public.
So it's been 5 weeks now that it's been in their hands.
But they got it when the rest of the public got it. Okay.
They recommended, there are two possible solutions to the language right now. One is for the commission to become its own department, like the Arts Commission, its own support staff, office space, all that kind of thing. That was what their solution to the issue was. The other is what's here in the language.
Which is what they've already been moving forward with the hiring process.
So
the position's already gone out for contract, for applications.
With the understanding that we're going to work in parallel with getting the legislation cleaned up on who has the final say in the hiring and the reporting process.
Okay. Are there any other questions, conversation?
I don't have any questions or conversation. I would just like to move my substitute.
Okay. Is there a motion? There's a motion. Is there a second? Okay. All right. Is there conversation on the substitute?
It's only the substitute. So this was a very lengthy process. Colleagues, I know we've talked about this before. I want to thank my colleague, Ms. Sepulveda, for the work that she's been doing with boards and commissions. This is something we started talking about last term, so I appreciate the work that you're doing. I don't think it applies right now to this commission that's only been in existence for about 5 minutes. It's getting its footing. In the over 18 months that it took to create this commission by working with the creative community here in Nashville, overwhelmingly was stated that no one wanted any interference from mayoral administrations because we have had several failed attempts at film commissions, Music City Music Councils, because mayors have come in, one likes it, the next one doesn't, and things die. The example for us was the Memphis office, which their leader has been there for 25 years, and they have project upon project that gets filmed there, and people know that there's one hub to go to. When we created the commission and also the creation of the office last term, it came up, but we did not clean up what happens to the individual who's working in the current Office of Special Events and Film, which really doesn't do film. So the intention for this was to clean that up so that the office can be cleanly created, finally, because we couldn't do it last term. I think when you're talking about cutting someone's size down, the most important thing is to find out if that's apropos for each commission. It's not working for this commission. They no longer have problems in terms of quorum. All the seats have been filled. and they are working at a good pace. There were over 100 applicants for the executive position in December. This process is ongoing. Again, it was agreed that this commission would make the determination of who the executive director is because they have the experience to do it. And it's not predicated on a changing, possibly, administration. And so the consistency that we've been lacking for years, we have an opportunity to create now. So my substitute leaves the size of the commission the same because they do have currently 3 councils. That's the Film and TV Council, the Music Council, and the Diversity Council, as well as 2 subcommittees, theater and fashion, which came up in our last conversation, but I acquiesced on getting rid of all creative entities to only do those 3 councils. So those 2 subcommittees can exist, so they don't have to touch them now, but down the road, they can address those 2 industries because they have several significant issues that need to be addressed. So that takes care of the subcommittees, mayor hiring, and their size. You've received emails since our last meeting that no one on the commission knew about this. It's not okay that we have a working group that's not communicating with commissions and just doing broad stroke brushes and coming up with numbers that they think fits. If you're hearing from the commission that this is not something that works for the work that they've been called to do, the marketing, the promoting of Nashville to bring more projects here, then we should be listening to them. If the goal is for us to be efficient, then let's at least let the people that we appointed to do this work get this work going. And we have received, I think, 3 emails from the chair of this commission to say they're not in support of any of these changes that are being proposed. I was at the meeting in December where there's 1 lawyer that is on the commission right now. They had a discussion about the things that they want to change. They said they were going to send it to Mr. Brown, and then they were going to send it to me. The legislation that I received is nothing like what was submitted, and they were not communicated with at all. I think it's just bad faith that we would vote on legislation where we are turning our backs on constituents. They have made it clear this is not what they want. I think we let them do the job that they're doing, let them hire the executive director. They're in the process right now. I think it's horribly unprofessional that we would try and snatch it away from them in the midst of the process. And I'm asking for your support of the substitute.
Are there any conversation from council members or questions? And I know Councilwoman Sepulveda, I know you want to be recognized, but if you don't mind, I'm going to go recognize Councilwoman Welsh on the committee first.
Thank you, and welcome back. It's good to see you back in the chair. I am in support of this substitute for a number of reasons. I think there is a danger in terms of treating all commissions the same in terms of numbers of members or whatever, because the entertainment industry is such a big thing and it is so multifaceted, and it requires each individual part of entertainment requires a different skill set. And I think it's very important that we have individuals who have expertise in each of those areas. But one of the biggest reasons that I support this is that I do not think that the hiring of the executive director should be in the hands of the mayor's office. And I understand the argument is what CM Sepulveda outlined before, but the fact of the matter is, in my estimation, the mayor's office doesn't necessarily have a good track record in terms of who they hire to run a lot of these departments. I think we have a lot of department heads who are not good fits and who are not actually doing good in the job that they're given. And so I don't see that the mayor's office has any particular expertise over what people in the commission who are actually in this industry, which is a very unique industry, would have in terms of choosing a leader for the commission. I do think there is much to be said about keeping consistent leadership when you find a good fit of a commission like this that can consistently move this forward as time goes on and different things come into play as more and more opportunities come into the city. When we have politicized appointments, those generally don't work in the long run, and we have seen many, many problems with politicized appointments in terms of stopping progress on many, many fronts. And I think that it's very important that in a commission like this that has the potential to bring so much to the city, that we make sure we have good leadership, that people in the industry acknowledge as good leadership, and that leadership stays consistent, so what initiatives and things can be seen through, and we don't find the starts and stops and the starts and stops that we see sometimes in other departments and on other commissions. So I, too, ask my colleagues to support the substitute.
Thank you, Councilwoman Welsh. I did want to give an opportunity for response before we move to any vote. For Councilmember Sepulveda, we could do that now, or go ahead and hear from some other council members. But Councilwoman Sepulveda, would you rather go ahead and respond right now?
I just wanted to address a couple of things.
Bo and Cap, I'll make sure I got you. Okay.
I mean, the working group is looking at each of the boards and commissions individually. So we looked at what makes the most sense as far as size goes. If there was an argument to be made as to keeping it at this size, we would have kept it at this size, right? This is why we did the surveys and sent it out to commissioners and to the staff themselves, right? So the next legislation you'll see before you is specifically for stormwater, because we looked at that individually as well. So I don't want you all to think that we're painting this with a broad brush. Let there be no mistake. We have several issues with multiple boards and commissions. That's why we have the working group going on now. I mean, the quorum issue was just resolved not too long ago with this board. I mean, that's just a fact here. We have a lack of accountability with some other boards and commissions who are responsible for hiring their executive director. I don't have to mention the Arts Commission to you all. We've been dealing with that for a long time. When the library had to go out and, hire their executive director, there was issues with that. This is going to be an ongoing issue. When we talk about, it's also a political process who we appoint to the boards and commissions, right? And there's turnover there as well. And so there's going to be politicizing this one way or another. I feel that there would be more accountability if we had HR involved in this process much earlier on with specific criteria. Also, if this executive director is hired in the mayor's office, there's no way to make them a civil service position. Is that correct? And so if we want to protect this position and keep them and make sure that they are not taken away with a stroke of a pen if another administration comes on, then we could codify that with the HR department and make them a civil service position and, keep them around and, have them be protected in a specific way. So I want you guys to consider that, because if we keep them in the mayor's office, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Thank you, Councilmember Sepulveda. With that, I'm going to recognize Councilmember Vo and then Councilmember Cap and any other members that may want to speak.
Great, thank you so much, Chair. I appreciate the conversation we're having. And I just had concerns from constituents because they were asking why it was being reduced to 11, because they felt that it would be a smaller group and less people doing the work. And so they wanted to understand the reasoning. So could y'all just provide more clarity on that?
Would you like to be recognized?
Sure.
And this is Dave Resberg from the mayor's office.
Yes, Dave Resberg from the mayor's office. Thank you. So 7 to 11 generally is identified as the optimal number to get diversity of opinion and to be able to come to a consensus. Like Councilmember Sepulveda referred to, we then go to the people that work with the commission, ask if there's a business case for or opposition to changing that. In this case, it's false to say that the board is against this. They did not express any objection to changing the numbers, and they had a conversation about whether they wanted to oppose the executive director switch and chose not to. Mr. Brown was in those meetings and
I'll add to that. So yes, in January, after the final legislation was filed, the commission met, and we did have a quorum issue. In January, we had one date that did not work. We've gone to a virtual polling process for the large size of this commission. a lot of working individuals, which we appreciate because they do come with that experience. And so we ended up moving to a second date. That was the standard meeting date. We were trying to have one date, and we moved to the standard meeting date. So we do still have a bit of a quorum issue. And with tomorrow's meeting being canceled due to the weather, we're going to go back to a poll to try to find, again, 15 working professionals in the entertainment business who are traveling all over the world. Actually have one of the commission members who was worried about trying to drive down tomorrow for the meeting because he's like, hey, if the snow comes, I can't make it. So that is still an ongoing issue. The commission met and reviewed the final documentation, and they put it to a vote to see whether they wanted to provide a united front in opposition to the legislation. And that vote went 4 yes, 2 no, and the rest abstained. So this was not a united voice saying that we are against this legislation from the commission.
And Mr. Butler has sent a letter, the chair of the commission sent a letter stating that, they had, the number of abstentions were hefty, but so for what it's worth, at our last commission meeting on January 29th, 2025, a motion passed that the commission writes a letter in support of maintaining the position of executive director as being controlled by the commission rather than the mayor.
That motion actually failed according to the meeting minutes.
It says, at the time, I wasn't sure if it actually passed or not based on the number of abstentions, but upon reviewing the minutes and my recording of the meeting and the consulting Robert's rules that our Metro legal representative determined that it did in fact pass. I'm happy to speak to the circumstances around the vote if you
Whether it
would.
passed or not, 4 voted yes out of 15.
So,
Yeah, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter whether it passed, honestly.
so your record from the mayor's office, it doesn't matter if it passed or not. Okay.
I'm saying in this context, if 4 out of 15
I think
supported
the
something,
point
it's a tough
is that-
argument to say the entire commission
I
is
think
against
the
this.
point is that there's letters from saying that that there were, I don't think you had an overwhelming support, but it doesn't matter. But Councilmember Cap, I want to go next.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add something that I don't believe has been said before, and not to repeat what has, but the work of getting this to happen, the city owes Councilmember Stiles a great deal of credit for getting this stood up. I think that the way, and I appreciate what she and Councilmember Welsh said about keeping it effective and keeping it with forward momentum. To me, that actually weighs on the other side of the question, because in order to make this effective, it's about cross-departmental coordination. And that can happen with mayoral leadership, or if a hypothetical future mayor sometime in the distant future decides that she doesn't want to support the work of this commission, then it won't happen. And having a commission be able to appoint a member of the mayor's office staff, to me, seems to be a bad way of setting up a functional system. A member of the staff in the mayor's office should be appointed by and responsible to the mayor, in my view. And I think that mayoral coordination is going to be what makes this work, rather than a member of the mayor's staff not being appointed by the mayor. So in order, weighing the strong arguments on the other side, to me, it actually slightly weighs on the other side of the question in favor of the bill as filed and against the substitute.
I'm going to close with you, Councilmember Stiles. Are there any other questions, conversation? Councilmember Sepulveda?
Yes, just one thing, and I appreciate the conversation that's being had. When we are looking at other boards and commissions, we cannot have someone from every field and every industry represented on those boards and commissions. This is why we have terms, so we could rotate people out. If not, our boards would be far too large, and we would not have the capacity to get anything done in a timely manner. This is the same thing for this board. We have the capacity to rotate people out and have different people from different industries represented. It doesn't prevent us from having those industries come before the board and speak and give, opinions, proposals that the board can then take up. So I do want to recognize that, because Councilmember Stiles has been in this industry for a very long time, and there are definitely people with specific backgrounds who feel the need to have input, and rightfully so. So there is still the capacity for that to occur.
Thank you, Councilmember
Yes.
Sepulveda. with that, I'm gonna let Councilmember Stiles, if you will, close,
things up?
so we
Okay.
can have a vote on the substitute, and then we can move to the bill.
Thank you very much. Again, council members have pulled it up, but I think part of what you said speaks to the concerns that the creative community has. You were looking at boards and commissions as just entities and what's a good number that fits. But you're not really looking at what the commission individually does. Because if we're saying that entertainment is a little bit different than most industries, and having diversity at the table to be able to do this work, it matters. Because otherwise, if you minimize the size of this commission, it creates more work for them. We did receive a letter today from Stephanie Silverman, who is the executive director of the Bell Court, who did speak to the size. This is so what we received from Max, I mean, he is the chair, but he's not sending letters without communicating, knowing what the commission sentiment is. And today we got another email from a commissioner saying, not in support of changing the size, not in support of taking the hiring ability away. So I think it is, fairly rude to dismiss the votes that took place in that commission meeting in terms of having the control of hiring the executive director. Again, this is very dismissive of a lot of work that went in through an entire community, not just by myself, but to think that we're sitting up here and making grandiose decisions for our constituency groups and that we know best, especially if we don't have any skill set within the field that we're looking at. I think that's critical. And I think that's a perspective that is being missed on this commission. And part of the substitute, forgive me, that I hadn't mentioned was having HR helping with this selection process. You do have their input, their expertise, but the HR component of having our HR department giving them a certain number of applications for them to look at, which is not how we have it set up currently for something like Metro Arts, which has been a hot mess because we really treated it like it was a garden party. And if you owned a Monet, it seemed like you'd be a good fit to sit on the Arts Commission. You didn't have any HR experience or anything. It's a cluster because of things like that. This commission has people with real experience. They hire and fire and manage people. So they're not out of their depth to do the job that they have been assigned to do. So while we get other commissions together, let's not lump them in with commissions that are just getting on their feet and they are functioning. So again, I would ask for your support of the substitute and the support of our constituents that have been emailing us that are in this industry that know how desperately this commission was needed and also the office. And I will tell you, the city of Atlanta makes $1 million a year on permits alone because 2 mayors ago created their office. And that office is now a priority for any mayor. So if you run for mayor, you'd be foolish to think you could come in and not find somebody that was actually going to keep that office up and running because it's making that much money. So with us hiring an executive director right now, we're talking about making sure that the right person is hired that can make sure that we can get this permitting off the ground. We can draw more projects here, and we can make additional money. And I think as a city, we certainly want to have more revenue. So if we put it in that perspective, we're messing with money. And with that, I would ask for your support of my substitute.
Thank you, Councilmember Stiles, for your closing
Yeah.
argument. With that, we're going to now vote on the substitute by Councilmember Stiles. All in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Any against, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Any present not voting? Abstain? Okay, 1, 2. Present not voting.
I voted.
You voted? Did you vote yes or no?
Vote yes.
Yes? You voted yes? I didn't see your hand.
I didn't either.
You were third?
He blocked it.
You're a ninja back there. With that, the substitute is 4 in favor, 3 against, 2.
3.
I had 3, 3, 2.
Okay, that's what I have, but then I
Yeah.
counted, he's like twice. Okay. All right, 3, 3, 2 is the, okay. Wonderful. So what does that get us? We'll move on to the full bill with the substitute, 3 in favor, 3 against.
Point of order, it
Yeah.
fails.
It
It needs a
fails, yeah.
majority to pass.
Point of order accepted.
It's not Vegas, it's not a push. We just get
So-
our bet back.
Hannah, that, we're good with the fact that the substitute fails. So with that, we're back on the bill, as presented. Is there any other conversation before I ask for a vote? All in favor, please indicate by, if you're in favor, please indicate by raising your hand up loud. 1, 2, 3, in favor. Any opposed to the original bill? Okay, 3 against, and anyone not voting?
I didn't vote
Or
because I
abstain?
wasn't, I don't want to abstain, but I'm going to vote yes.
Okay. And then 1 abstention here. So that is, it passes or is approved, 4 in favor, 3 against, and 1 person not voting. So with that, we're going to go back while we've held our interim director of arts for many, many times. Thank you all for coming to present, and hopefully we get some follow-up to the commission on what's happening. Ashley, thank you so much for being here. Sorry to hold you captive for that long, but we're back on item RS 2025-1041, resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between Metro government by and through the Metro Nashville Arts Commission, hands-on, I think it's supposed to be hands-on Nashville, United Way of Greater Nashville, for an AmeriCorps program participant to perform volunteer services on the Metro Nashville Arts Commission's community engagement program and activities. Is there a motion?
Move.
Is there a second? Okay. Properly moved in second. We have a question from Councilmember Stiles.
So we approved this before to get a grant for this. I remember Daniel did that. So where did that we approved, where did that money go? Or is this just a re-up of the same funding for another year?
It's a re-up, so it's an annual term of service for the AmeriCorps members that is facilitated through Hands on Nashville, and we are sort of the host site essentially. And so our former AmeriCorps member ended his term of service about 4 months ago. That was AJ, if any of y'all might have met him. And so this is for a brand new person, young person, wants to go to law school, has an interest in the arts and grant making as well, went through the process and is ready to be placed with us pending approval here to help with community engagement.
Any further questions, conversation? All right, with that, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone against or not voting? Okay. Thank you, Ashley. I'm sorry to hold you up. I know you had other appointments that you were in other committees for, so we appreciate you. We're going on to item number 5. Number 5, thank you. Let's see here, BL 2025-706. This is bills on second reading. We're on item number 5, BL 2025-706, an ordinance approving 2 Greenway conservation easements between the Metro government of Nashville through the Metro Board of Parks and Rec and Rogers Group, Inc. for greenway improvements at 0 Glenwood Drive. Parcel number is listed. Is there a motion?
Move. Second.
Motion properly moved and seconded. Is there any conversation or anything from the department? Is this the one we want to? Go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin at Metro Parks. This one has 2 easements on the same parcel of land that's separated, and I think for some reason the packet only got one of the easements included, so it wasn't actually filed. So we need to do an amendment to it to get the other easement in there. So we need it to be deferred for 1 meeting.
Defer 1 meeting. Do we need to take a vote on the defer? All in favor of the deferment?
Aye.
Any against or not voting indicate no. Okay, so it passes. Thank you so much. In your packet, there is a letter to approve this ultimately from Councilmember Toombs whenever that does get properly before us. Let's see here. We have 2 more, and we'll conclude. Item number 6. BL 2025-707, ordinance approving a greenway conservation easement between the Metro government through the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Rec and Germantown JV LLC for greenway improvements at 1420 Adams Street. Is there a motion?
Move.
Is there a second? Wonderful, properly moved and seconded. Is there any conversation or questions from the council? Anything that the Parks wants to share that's not included in the description?
This is just a Cumberland Greenway easement at Madera Germantown multi-family development, so they're giving us a Greenway easement.
Wonderful, thank you so much. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Wonderful, any against or not voting, please let us know. Hearing none, it is approved. Item number 7, BL 2025-708, an ordinance approving a Greenway conservation easement and participation agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Davidson County through the Metro Board of Parks and Rec and Green Trails LLC for Greenway improvements at 4267 Ashland City Highway. Parcel number is listed. Is there a motion?
Move.
And a second? Properly moved and seconded. Is there any conversation or questions or anything from the Park Department that's not covered in the description you'd like to share? Okay, wonderful. With that, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against or not voting, please let us know. It is approved or passes. Let's see here, the last motion, I didn't say this earlier, but the earlier GOATS contract did pass, or the approval. I think I just didn't indicate that it approved, but I think that was clear. With that, one update from this seat is that as we're moving into budget season and you want to hear more from certain departments, Kevin, before you leave, we do need to get a date for our, the ultimate park, the larger, for presentation on
The plan to play is.
plan to play.
No, we do not.
Okay, they're working on the plan to play. Let me get you a date. I'll talk to the director, and so we can get a date when that's
And we
done.
may be able to do a joint meeting too, so we can get more folks involved in the first presentation of it.
That'd be great.
But just for council members, if you want to hear from departments, make sure we're getting those in the door so we can get more time on the calendar here. Thank you for letting me catch you before you go out the door. Just want to make sure we get that date. Councilmember Welsh?
Yes, and I just had one thing. I wanted to let everyone know that.
Thank you all. We're good.
The Mill Creek cleanup officially ended over the weekend. I had legal sign off the paperwork today. They did a great job picking up all the debris that was still in Mill Creek. They did the last 7.6 miles. So there is still quite a bit of debris in the creek from things that were not related to the flood that do need to be cleaned up. This group that was here as part of the settlement with R.J. Schinner would have cleaned that had Metro had money to do it at the time. We don't, but hopefully we can budget something in for that to get other areas cleaned up. But all the bulk of that debris from the flood has been cleaned. The banks look beautiful. They did an incredible job. So I just wanted to let everyone know.
That's awesome.
Very excited that it took 3 years, 4 years, but we finally got it done.
That's a wonderful update.
We did
Thank you for taking time to share that. That's really important, and especially for that community there and all of us, but that's really amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Any other positive updates before we close? Councilmember Terry?
I just wanted to share 2 quick thanks, because with parks, I wish they were still here, but Dudley Park, the upgrades, the playground and the swing set and the shelter, kids are playing on it. I'm getting like messages from families, and it's really nice, like to hear like the kids are loving it, they're playing on it.
Awesome.
And then we've had like a trouble area, and so with the partnership with like NDOT, codes, and Metro Police Precinct, the South Precinct, we all cleaned up on Valentine's Day, and we cleaned a major area that is in the floodway, and I want to really appreciate and send a thank you to JD Lane, because we picked up all the trash, and there was like 15 trash bags, and then like many tires, mattresses, and everything, and they picked it up after we gathered it all. So it was a lot of great teamwork, and it is clear now, and I drove by the other day, and it was still clear, so it's great.
That's fantastic.
So other members, bring some special stories you might want to share. We'll take time. I kind of like ending our meetings with something positive. Councilwoman Lee.
I was going to say I don't have any stories, but it is a pleasure seeing your face back.
It's a pleasure being back here. Thank you so much, Councilmember. Is there anything else? Seeing that, hearing on, all in favor of adjournment? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Man, that's what it looks like.
Oh, it looks great.
And then we were picking up the trash bags, so that's why they're on.
Make sure you turn off the recording.
Oh, turn it.
Oh, Yay, okay, wonderful.